and Sri Lanka. We need a good start to this tournament. We need a good performance from the boys. And now with everybody back into the side and into the squad and fit, we can really hope that South Africa can get their tournament off to a great start and get the ball running so that we can go and have a great tournament and a tournament that all of us as fans can be proud of. We're going to talk about some of the main aspects we are looking forward to with regards to this particular match. We know that game is going to be played at New York, and there isn't a lot of data that we can speak about, but there's an aspect of the game that I'm worried about when it comes to South Africa's team, and that is the bowling. So it's just fitting that we have a listen to Eric Simons, South Africa's bowling coach, to hear what he has had to say about South Africa's bowling attack. And we're going to react to that audio file and have a listen to what he has to say and see if we can draw any hope from what he said in this particular match. So before we get going, before we get started, there's a couple of things I'd like you guys to please first do. First and foremost, subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell for all future videos. Also, download our World Cup edition. We do have that available for you guys right now, so you guys can go get that. Every issue of the magazine is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen right now as well as in the description. Go and get your copy of this so that you can go and have a nice preview heading into this to get some understanding of what South Africa has been thinking with regards to this World Cup campaign. Also, don't forget to smash that like button. Very important that you guys do so. But you also need to comment and share because that's how our videos will get recommended on YouTube, especially with the new algorithm. We're really going to need your likes and your comments and your sharing so that we can continue on an upward trajectory with regards to this show and this channel. We are getting closer and closer to that 5,000 subscriber mark, which is our next milestone. So let's get in there and let's get it started. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine, and this is your preview show. I'm your host, Khalid. This is the show where we talk about everything that has to do with South Africa versus Sri Lanka, the opening game of the T20 World Cup. As you guys know, tomorrow will be the first fixture. We will play at 4:30 South African Standard Time. So we are looking forward to it. I think all of us are. As a fan base, we've been speaking about this World Cup leading up to this particular fixture for quite some time, but we're going to focus in on the Sri Lanka versus South Africa match first and foremost. That's the one that's the most important right now. It is so important that South Africa get a good start. We need a good start to this campaign just to give everybody a lift, give the whole team a lift, and get the momentum going. We obviously can't be going into this World Cup campaign with the first loss under our belt, and then having to catch up the rest of the group stages. So a win is so important, but it's not going to be easy. When you have a look at Sri Lanka, the players that I'm really worried about, obviously the usual suspects, but I'm going to have to say Kusal Mendes for me. With the bat, he averages 31, striker 145. I mean, we're going to have to see how they line up and how they're going to structure their team. But he's always been a very, very good player in South Africa. It's always someone that I think that we need to always look at and be very cautious of. But you can't write off Hasaranga, who was for many, many, many years has been one of the best spinners in the world, and a player that can cause a hell of a lot of problems for South Africa, particularly with the ball. Now, we are playing in New York. There isn't a lot to go by when it comes to the New York Stadium and what the conditions are going to be like. But we do know that that there was a game that was played at the grounds not so long ago, recently for T20 warm up game. India took on Bangladesh at the ground. So that obviously gives us some insight into what the conditions are going to be like, what the pitch, how the pitch is going to play, all of those things, etc. Um, those are things that we need to obviously take into account when it comes to this particular um, match, because India batted first in this match and scored 182 for five. So it clearly shows that there is some um, purchase in this wicket. There is a place for South African batters to really dominate. And seeing that India's middle order were the ones to score majority of the runs, Rishabh Pant, Yadav, and Hardik Pandya, that gives us some hope, seeing that our middle order is supposed to be quite strong, and also as well our middle order is in relatively good form. So we're going to have to take that into account. When it comes to the Bangladesh bowlers, we've had quite a few off-break bowlers taking wickets. So that maybe gives an emphasis to someone like Aiden Markram in the team, that he might have to have a big role to play with regards to the ball. But if you look at overall in the match, and you go to the chase, where Bangladesh were 122 for 9 in their chase in 20 overs, it seemed like they really struggled to chase in this match. But it was the seam bowlers from India that took majority of the wickets here, and almost all the wickets, I would say. So that does give South Africa again a good, um, it puts us in a good space, because it's normally right arm and the medium arm and the spaces that really did well from the India perspective. So it does seem that the wicket from that match alone, you could probably say that it is equal and even with regards to who can dominate and who can really do well in this match. Now, if everybody in South Africa's team, of course, comes to the party and puts in a performance and does the basics correctly, then we would be sitting in a very good position. Now, the squad and who we're going to start in this match is going to be important. Now, this is the squad for the World Cup. For me, the top six is pretty much straightforward in my eyes. At least actually the top seven is very easy to pick in my eyes. I think it's Quinton de Kock, Reza Hendricks, Aiden Markram as your top three. Heinrich Klaassen, Tristan Stubbs for me at four, Heinrich Klaassen at five, and David Miller at six, and Marco Jansen at seven. That seems to be pretty straightforward. The big question is going to come, how are we going to line up with the ball? Now, I feel that South Africa should rather have um, someone like Gerald Coetzee, who's in form, at eight, and then play this. And the spinner that we must pick, I feel that we can go with a spinner like the Bray Shamsi. We're going to have to pick between the two. Now, big question is whether one. And I, I don't know, from what I saw in that match, it didn't seem like necessarily a 2-3 spinner pitch. Now, we have to obviously look on the day and see what the conditions are going to be like. So I probably won't risk playing two spinners. I'll give Aiden Markram the opportunity, and I'll give Gerald Coetzee a chance to play at eight. And perhaps we can go with KG at nine, then have 10 Anrich Nokia, and 11 have Otniel Bartman. Or sorry, 11 Tabay Shamsi. I would go with Otniel Bartman instead of Anrich Nokia in that number 10 spot. So that would be my lineup going into this. But I don't think that there is a problem in maybe playing Keshav as well, and then maybe dropping one of the pace bowlers. Now, the question is going to be then, if we're going to play the two spinners, is going to be between KJ and Gerald, who gets the nod there. Because Otniel Bartman, for me, starts. He's my number one bowler on this list, because I feel that skill is going to be needed on this wicket. I think a player that can bowl good Yorkers, can bowl good variations, and has the pace to be able to yank it up if he needs to. I think that's going to be the crucial component of this team. I think the whole game is going to ride on how good our bowlers are going to play in this match. We have to be wary of Sri Lanka because you never know about how they're going to perform in this match. You never know what type of team is going to turn up. You never know how they're going to approach things. You never know what this team can do. At any given time, we've seen that Sri Lanka can really turn it up. They've got a very skillful unit, and that is something that we need to be wary of. Now, they did play a warm-up game against against the Netherlands, um, and they lost it. So there's something to maybe hope that South Africa can get that type of luck against them. Um, and we're going to have to wait and see how this team is going to operate and how they're going to perform. I mean, Angelo Matthews is another player we need to be aware of because he can really turn up in any game. But like I said, the main thing for me is going to be the bowling attack and how the bowlers are going to respond. So it makes total logic and it makes total sense for us to go have a listen to what Eric Simons, the bowling coach, had to say, because that will give us some insight into what his thinking is. So let's have a listen to his press conference and hear what he had to say ahead of this match. I think it's a great place to start for us, and I think it will give us maybe a little bit of insight into what he's thinking and how he feels about this unit. So let's have a listen.
There's been a lot of chat about particularly Heinrich. You've seen him both at IPL and now with the training session that you've had with him down in Florida. What have you made of where he's at as far as his bowling is concerned?
Yeah, look, I've been quite happy actually, to be honest. I think one's always got to have a look at what aspect of bowling is working, what isn't, tweaking certain things, making sure you get the balance right. I think in T20 cricket, it's very dangerous to always just look at numbers and say that is an indication of how somebody's bowled. I think one of the things that we do well as a unit is our tactical planning. And from that perspective, I think if he gets the ball in the right area, it'll be fine. But I mean, he's bowling with pace and he's bowling with confidence at the moment. I think the numbers haven't been great for him in the last while, but I'm not overly concerned. I watched him quite closely during the IPL, and we've had quite a few discussions around tactics and fields and things like that. And if you get the balance of that right, then what can be big numbers can be turned into a far better return in terms of runs and wickets, etc. So it's about getting the ball in the right place, and I think he's a lot closer than I think people think he is when they just look at the figures of the last while. He's a talented bowler, and I think it's going to be exciting to watch him in the tournament.
So that's a little bit of hope for us as fans, that we can be a little bit optimistic about Heinrich Nokia, because the coach seems to think he is on the road. But you see, I think his analysis was spot on there, because that has been Heinrich's problem. I feel in the games that I've now watched him play is his execution and where he's put the ball consistently has been an issue, and I think that has a lot to do with the long injury layoff and getting the rhythm back again and getting that confidence back. So good analysis, I think, from the coach, and I would probably agree with that. Now, if there's just one or two tweaks that need to make me happen for things to fall into place, you know how dangerous Heinrich Nokia can be. But he's been leaking a lot of runs, so that is an issue, and I think that has a lot to do with his placement and where he puts that delivery. Because if he's bowling at an alarming pace, and he's bowling at 150s, and he puts it in the right places, any batter will struggle against that, especially if he can get that movement of the pitch that he can normally get, that he normally does get when he's at his best. So let's see what they do with Heinrich. For me, I don't know about starting him in that first game. For me, I think it's a team it's a team where I feel a player like Otniel Bartman can really do damage for South Africa and really be the, I would say, an all-round bowler in the way that he can contain and strike, and that's a very important factor to have when you're unfamiliar with the conditions.
Sorry, Luz, can I just have a second one quick?
Yes, yeah, go for it, Stu.
Just more broadly, Eric, around T20 cricket and the way it's being played, particularly what came out of the IPL and the the league phase of the IPL and all the big scoring that got seen there. What are bowlers? What's the big challenge for bowlers here, and how do you think it will go in the World Cup, where I guess the standard of bowling will be better than it would have been for most of the IPL?
I think it's an exciting time to be a bowler, and I said it to the guys the other day. I think batsmen are playing with a lot of freedom and a lot of aggression. I don't think it's going to be quite the same as the IPL. The impact player made a massive difference in the way that guys batted, but there are still some cricketers and some batsmen that will play with the same sort of freedom. But I don't think it's going to be quite the same as the IPL. I think it was interesting to see the way that the batting lineups were prepared to operate because of the impact player and the extra batsmen they had at their disposal. So I think that is something we must recognize and understand. Then the other thing for me is the way that bowlers go about the tactics. I don't think there's tremendous amount of new balls to be invented or something like that. I think there's two things. The one is the accuracy of the execution, and being very, very accurate with what you want to do and how you want to do it, and then being very smart with your tactics. I still think that makes it an exciting time to be a bowler, to be pulling teams back to what it is acceptable scores and chaseable scores, or defending a total with smart tactics. And certainly that's going to be where our focus is going to be.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stu. Morgan?
Thanks, Lucy. Hi, Eric. Eric,
Hi.
the other day, Aiden made mention that batters win games and bowlers win tournaments. So no pressure there on the bowling unit, but I'm sure this is a challenge that you guys are looking forward to and you welcome, and you're quite confident going into the World Cup. And then secondly, how's KG looking? I'm not sure if I missed something on his update. So is he ready for the World Cup?
Yeah, KG is absolutely fine. He bowled really well in the practices we've had. We had a simulation middle the other day, and he was particularly good. We worked through the various phases of the match. We want to be as consistent as we can be around where guys operate and become good at that section of the game. And he was particularly good. So there's no issue with him whatsoever. He's bowling with good pace and good control.
Thanks, Morgan.
Yeah, so that's a major positive for me. If KG is fit, KG plays, if KG is looking good. So for me, it was always going to be Otniel Bartman first, and KG is the next person on that list. And then we choose between other bowlers around them. Given how batters really approach the seamers these days, especially the real quick ones, they've been finding a lot of luck against them in T20 cricket over the last couple of months. So yeah, good to hear that KG is good. Good to hear that KG is doing well and that the coach thinks he's fit and ready for the game.
Okay.
Hi, Eric. I just want to find out, are there any specific plans that you guys have been working on as a bowling group?
Sorry, I didn't quite catch the last bit. Any specific plans you're working on?
I meant specific plans that you guys have been working on as the bowling group.
Oh, so plans. As I said, I think the accuracy of execution is always important. We talk about, there's a subtle difference between looking at a batsman and seeing what his strengths are and where he wants to hit the ball, and then making a plan around that, as opposed to saying, I've got the ball in my hand, I start this dance, and I want to make you hit the ball in this particular area. And that's a far more dominant. It's subtly more dominant for bowlers to have that attitude, and that's the way that we are talking. How can we make batters hit the ball into areas that we want them to hit, and where our protection is? So for me, as the one is the execution of that tactic, and secondly is being smart with those tactics, trying to find what information we can get. No one's played in this pitch before, so we don't know what the pitch is going to offer us. We don't know what conditions are going to offer us, but we can look at the footage of the batsmen and see what they give us from a technical reason that we can utilize to build tactics. So being accurate and being smart with tactics, that's really what we've been working on the discussions that we've been having, because that's where we're going to be able to restrict teams. But if we can save 10 or 15 runs by being clever, then that makes a massive difference in the outcome.
Talking very smartly, talking very a good game of here, Eric Simons, but we're going to have to see that in practice and see. By tomorrow, we'll actually know how these bowlers are going to face things and what they're going to be like. It is going to be about execution over here for me. I've said it over and over again. I think the lack of consistency and putting the ball in the dangerous areas on the pitch has lacked in the past, at least in the last couple of games we've seen South Africa play. So we're going to need exactly what Coach Eric is speaking about here. At least he's speaking in the right game. I hope that message has sunk in with the bowling attack and the bowling group.
Thanks,
Thank you.
King. We'll look to go Stu again. And just a reminder to those of you on the call, if you do have a question, just to raise your hand. Go ahead, Stu.
Eric, it's another World Cup for South Africa. I was wondering, from your perspective, what did you learn from working with a group in India last year that you would want to apply for this tournament? And in terms of your relationships with the guys, is that obviously you've spent more time with them, so is that improved, and is the messaging that you're trying to get across to them a lot clearer than it was say before India last year?
I think, Stu, that's a great question. I think that is a very important aspect of modern sport. Guys go away. It's a little bit like they've come home again. They've been at boarding school and they've come back to the family. And I think that's what the guys feel like. And I think that's an important aspect of what this unit's about. One of the things that I think is important to do is to build trust. We knew each other from my perspective. I played against all of them in the IPL, or been involved with teams playing against them in the IPL. Worked with some of the guys, but you sort of build up a relationship of trust when you work together like that. Trust in myself as a coach, trust in each other as a unit, and what we can and can't do together. And that's something that we I think what stood us in good stead in the Indian conditions in the 50 over World Cup. And I think it's the same thing here. So we've got some momentum, and let's build on what we've done. The foundation, excuse me, the foundations that we've laid to go forward. So it is now like we're adding on to conversations rather than starting new conversations, and that's an important aspect of it. And we've been talking on together for the last 2 months. We've been having little conversations in whatever way we can as a group to make sure that we've arrived here ready, because as we all now know, the modern landscape is that you're playing in so many different tournaments, your opposition, and you don't have the luxury of long periods of preparation. So we've done the best we possibly can to arrive here, having started our language again, because that's what it's really about. Speaking the way that we do, whether it's about tactics or the roles that people play.
Yeah, and I said that this team should be a lot further off than from the previous World Cups. They should be in a much better situation, and they should be in a much better position to actually try and win this tournament. That should be the ultimate goal. And I think this squad and this team is in the best position to do so now. They've been with us coaches and this coaching staff for quite some time. So it's now time for us. There's no excuses really for the coaching staff, I feel. I think that now we want to see those talks and those tactics and everything that they've worked on be implemented in competitive matches. So let's hope that we get to see that tomorrow. It's a team, we're playing against a team that is very unknown. You never know what's going to happen with regards to them. They're unpredictable, and they, on any given day, they can be brilliant, but they can also be very, very terrible at the same time. And that's also how South Africa's been in the past too. We can be fantastic in one, and then all of a sudden we can be dreadful. So against teams that we are expected to beat. So I'm hoping that we get to see the South Africa that we know we can be, and not the South Africa that we wish we not.
Thanks, Stu. Keenan?
Thanks, Lucy. Hi, Eric. You
Keenan.
spoke about Kagiso, briefly, I just wanted to know if you could give us any feedback on other players like Otnel Bartman and Shamsi, Tabrei Shamsi, who were also ruled out for a few games against the West Indies.
Yeah, both are fine. We've had absolutely no issues with injuries whatsoever. Otnel went over his knee. Well, he went over his ankle, but I think it affected his knee more than anything else. But he's fine now, and he started his build up when I arrived pretty much, and then when we had our medal simulation, played a full part of it, and the last practice we had as well, railing the ball with pace, and the same with Tabriaz. He's bowling without any sense of or concern or being held back. You know, there's no restriction on quota or how much he bowls or when he bowls, and he's able to go full out at the moment. So at the moment, clean bill of health across the board from that perspective.
At least there's nothing to fall back on. Whatever selection they go with is the team that they're going to believe that is the best team to play. So there's no there's no excuse over here or a way out for them to say, oh, you know, this one was injured, that's why this one's not playing. So whatever team they play, pick tomorrow is going to be the best team that's available and probably the best team for those conditions.
Thanks, Keenan. We'll look to wrap with one more from Stu.
Thanks, Lucy. Eric, just on South Africa's first opponents, very general question. Sri Lanka have always, put together teams that have got a variety of the ball. What do they bring that's going to make them dangerous on Monday?
Well, I think one of the things we need to understand the conditions is a warm-up game that we're going to look at today just to see what it's about. Obviously, the more conditions suit us, the better for us. The more conditions suit them, the tougher opponents they become. So we don't know what this cricket's going to offer. It's going to be new for everybody. And it's going to be about the team that adapts the quickest. But certainly, they're a danger. Matisha that I've worked with, obviously in the IPL, they've got the round-arm action has become pretty accurate. His Yorkers in particular, Mahesh as well, who's got a lot of variations, but throughout their lineup, and then from the batting perspective as well, they play with aggression, they play with some freedom. But I think it's got to boil down a lot of conditions and who adapts the quickest. But there's no in this format, as we can tell, any better than most teams, you don't take any opposition lightly. But Sri Lanka are a formidable opposition, so we certainly will make sure that we arrive at the game ready for whatever the conditions or the team throw at us.
Thanks.
Thanks, Stu. I see we do have a hand up from Zolani, so that'll be the official last question. Go ahead, Zolani.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time, Eric. One question I would like to ask, what would you consider as a success during the tournament with regards to your role looking after the bowlers?
Again, the modern game is I've said it a number of times, particularly because of the way the formats work, is about influence, not instruction. So, if I was here instructing people for the period of time we're together, or if it was like that in the 50 over World Cup, then you have some sort of semblance of success or some sort of semblance of growth within the period that you're with them. But once you move away, then that disappears because the instructions disappeared. So I've always said that in the modern era, you have to influence, you have to allow them to grow and become better and better. So again, I go back to the point I made earlier. I think one of the big things that bowlers can be better at is tactics, being smart around the way we do it. So if I can build some understanding in cricketers, I think that's something that we need to do at this level, is not necessarily coach cricket, but coach understanding of cricket. Then that means that in the future, they go forward and they become better and better. In some respects, you want to make yourself redundant, particularly from a tactical aspect, so that players are able to build their own tactics and arrive at games ready. Because if they have clarity and understanding of their tactics, they're far better cricketers. And that doesn't come through instruction. That comes through them learning and not making mistakes. So for me, if they learn, if they go away from the tournament, more complete cricketers in terms of their own games, and rely less and less on coaches, that to me is a great success.
Okay, so that's what Eric Simons had to say, and about tactics over there, and a lot of work about plans. Where I feel that in T20 cricket, we can keep things simple. We can do things by implementing basic game plans. I think these players are skillful enough to adapt according to the conditions. We need to be able to assess the conditions at this stage now. I feel that these players have had enough time, enough practice, enough tournaments together to be able to be at a level where things are just um, fitting and clicking into place. I don't think that these players, before we could say, this is a new unit, they are getting to know each other, they're getting to understand the coach's philosophy, blah, 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 blah. At this stage, this unit, this group of players, I feel are experienced enough. They've played in IPLs. Even the youngsters have played in IPLs. They've played in T20 tournaments. They should be fully equipped to apply themselves at a world-class level in the T20 game. So for me, there's no excuses for this group of players. It's going to be all about execution. And I feel that they have natural. I've always said a lot of our players have natural variations to their games. Like Marco Janssen, for example. He shouldn't try to overthink things too much with too many plans and too much tactics. And he just needs to keep the ball in decent areas because he has natural variations due to his physical makeup. So someone like that needs to be able to apply those type of basic simple plans and bowl it ball in the right areas consistently according to what the pitch is what the pitch is saying, and then apply himself correctly with regards to that. Simple game plans should do it for us. We just need to do the basics correctly, and we will always be in a great position in every single match. And then that extra bit of class will kick in, and then you can take it into different stratospheres, etc., within games and throughout the tournament. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on the game. Let me just get into some of your live chat and what you guys have had to say. Let's start off with Lawrence over here saying, crucial for us to get off to a winning start tomorrow. We should not underestimate Sri Lanka, however. They can beat any side on any given day and have some dangerous plays. We should just focus on our strengths. 100% agree with you. We mustn't underestimate any team. We can see what happens when we kind of take the foot off the accelerator. That's something that I feel that we shouldn't do. Arvin says, well, is play two specialist spinners, Khalid, bro? I say I wouldn't be able to tell you that, but me personally, I wouldn't. I would go with one spinner in Tabray Shamsi, and I will also go with Aiden Markram. But I just do feel that South Africa is quite conservative in their approach, so they might just go with Keshav and then play the rest of the seamers. I don't know if they're going to go with two spinners tomorrow. I won't be able to tell you that. It will heavily be dependent on the conditions tomorrow. Lawrence says, I watched that game yesterday. Don't ask me how. It was a good pitch, has a bit of everything, but it's good for batting for sure. Seamers can also get something. Don't think we'll go with two spinners. And that's what I said. It seemed like quite a balanced game where seamers and spinners took wickets. Literally all different types of bowlers took wickets. Swing bowlers, fast pace bowlers, medium pace bowlers, off break bowlers, left arm orthodox bowlers. All of them were taking wickets in this game. So that gives me a sign that South Africa just needs to pick. If they pick a team based on their on form and who is currently in their element and have a good rhythm under their belt, they will be okay. That's my opinion. KG needs to have a good World Cup, says Captain. Lawrence says Othniel should definitely get a start. I agree, but I can see Rob play Anrich, and if that's the case, then Gerald will unfortunately miss out. Arvin says, hey bro, Khalid, how do you rate South Africa's death bowling? When Othniel plays, I think it's top notch. With KG maybe bowling the penultimate over, and Othniel maybe bowling the death over, I think we will be okay in that regard. But if Othniel doesn't play, I am a little bit concerned, particularly because Anrich's the other person that can close out matches for us, and he doesn't seem to be in the best of rhythm. But according to the bowling coach, Eric Simons, he feels confident that Anrich will be ready. So let's see what happens with the team. Sharath says ideal team for tomorrow is Riza, Quinton, Markram, Stubbs, Klaas and Miller, Janssen, Kutsia, Maharaj, Rabada and Shamsi. So he's playing 2 spinners. Tala says, I think they will go with Kesh, Shamo, KG and Anna. Sarath says, considering Gerald's current form, maybe Bartman can play ahead of him. Lawrence says, we just might see Rob play 2 spinners just to give the side a bit of control by containing, as we know, our seamers can leak. Yeah, they have been leaking quite a few runs recently. So that is a little bit of a concern for me. Like I said, the bowling aspect of this team is going to be a little bit of a worry for me. For Escher to go all the way, Markram and KG need to be at their best. 100% agree with you. Talas says Bartman will only play if they decide to go with 1 spinner. It's an interesting take. Lawrence says Andrich's pace might just give him the nod against the Asian and Minnow sides. I don't think Sri Lanka is a Minnow side though. But I know you classify them maybe in the Asian bracket. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see with regards to that. Arvin says SA top 7 is fixed, but from the remaining 4 bowler slot, if we be interested to see the combination SA go with. Taz, should we bat first or bowl first tomorrow? If we win the toss, I would bat first. Based purely on the warm-up game where India scored 180 odd and bowled Bangladesh out for 120 odd. In my opinion, I think that's a clear sign that batting first is South Africa's strength. And I think the most important factor is to make sure that you can win. I don't care about this whole testing your testing how you chase and all of those things. We need to face whatever adversity we face, whatever challenge we face, we need to take it head on. So I think first and foremost, you start off by giving yourself the best chance to win. And I think South Africa's best chance to win is if we bat first. And I think that's what we should do. And in T20 cricket recently, in many, many tournaments, batting first has favored the winning side majority of the time. Lorenzo says, where's the hype for this tournament? T20 cricket can really do one. Yes, I'll support the Proteas, but oh my, T20 cricket is way too saturated, which makes it boring. IPL is to blame. I did a whole show on this about T20 fatigue. You guys can go ahead and watch that and see my thoughts on that. It is on the channel. Tiano says, good spirit and positive start is needed by South Africa, 100%. Lorenzo says, all I know is Bartman should 100% play. He's currently our best fast bowler as well as our best death bowler. If Bartman don't play, then you just know Rob Walter don't know how to manage big egos. I agree with you on the Bartman thing. I said that in my team as well. I've answered the 2 spinner question already. Lorenzo says playing a seeming attack of KG, Janssen, Nokia, who all are out of form, will be absolutely disastrous. It might work against weaker teams, but against England, India, New Zealand, Australia, Pakistan, they'll get exposed massively. All depends on what form they're in. Burger says, while 2 months of continuous IPL does make you kind of T20 fatigued. Yeah, 100%. And SA20 was before that and the T20 challenge. So I'm completely over T20 cricket, and now we're going into an international T20 World Cup. So Dex says shouldn't take Sri Lanka lightly. They have Paterana and they've got Hasaranga. Lawrence says Sri Lanka is really good against spin. I personally think Rob will unleash his pace attack tomorrow with only Kesh playing. Markham also there to get in a few overs. I can also see that happening personally from a Rob Walter perspective, but I'll play Shamsi just purely because Shamsi has that extra X factor of the spin. But maybe the containing role is more important for this unit if we want to make sure that we win this match. Let's just move on. Lorenzo says, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if we lose tomorrow. Wow, way to go in with the positivity there, Lorenzo. Lawrence KG was good in the IPL, was one of the most economical fast bowlers in IPL T24. Took wickets too. I'll have some faith in him. I have some faith in him as well. Like, I've been positive with regards to the way KG bowled economically throughout the IPL. That has made me really happy with regards to his approach, etc. Let me just get a couple of more at the bottom of here. Sophia says, the way Sri Lanka playing his warm-up games and games before it's South Africa should win it easily. Nah, we can't take the warm-up game seriously, bro. But because Sri Lanka is the type of team that turns up on any given day, and T20 cricket is the type of game where you can be horribly out of form as a team and then suddenly just have one great game in you, and that can come at any moment. So yeah, that's the thing that I feel is crazy. Kani says Patarana and Tushara and Mudashanka and Hasaranga and Tikshana. That's terrific bowling lineup. I think they have a extremely talented bowling lineup. I've seen them play many games and they are extremely talented. So South Africa, they need to be at their best in every single game they play. I don't think they should take any game lightly. They should play every single game with 100% output and concentration. And also, we need to handle the touch problem, Nahali. You're 100% correct. Ahmed says, who do you think will Rob probably choose for the top 6 in your opinion? I think it's Riza Hendricks, Quentin de Kock, Aiden Markram. I don't think he'll go Tristan Stubbs. So that's who I would go. So I think he'll go with Klaassen, and I think he'll go with Miller, and then I think he'll go 6 Stubbs. For me, I would play Tristan at 4, Klaassen at 5, and Miller at 6. Ahmed says Sri Lanka have some threats like Patarana and some other players. So we should study them well and not take them lightly. Can't take any team lightly in a World Cup. Kani says Anik was the only bowler that bowlers well against the Dutch last time in Australia. Dutch batters smoked KG. We need extra pace to trouble teams like Dutch and Nepal. Burger says, I'm really worried about our death bowling. That's why I say it's so important that we play with Neil. He's our best death bowler. So that's why he's number 1 fast bowler on my team sheet. Sam says his 11 is Quinton de Kock, Riza, Markram, Klaassen, Miller, Stubbs, Jansen, Maharaj, KG, Otil Batman, and Shamsi. Sam says our owners should be aggressive because they have good spinners in middle and Patarana at death. Lorenzo says, I just hope SA don't overanalyze the conditions because we play morning games. It's T20 cricket. Nothing will change much. Leave the ball to nip around the first half of this cricket. Yeah, 100%. I agree there. I don't think we should take the conditions. I think the only thing we should look at the conditions for is how we're going to set up. I don't think we need to look at it from a perspective of, oh, it's going to nip around in the morning, let's bowl there, swing bowling, etc. Because the bowl approach of a batter in the power play in T20 cricket is completely different. You've got a power play and players are trying to get off the mark very quickly. So accuracy is more important for me personally than the variations of swing, etc., and all of those type of thoughts. I think that 100% what their focus should be on is just putting the ball in a difficult place for the opposition to capitalize and hit you to the boundary. The aim for it is in the power play to concede the least amount of boundaries that you possibly can. Lawrence says the Sri Lanka game is also very important in the sense that if we beat them, we and both of us and Sri Lanka goes into the Super 8. We take 2 points over the round. Diano says we must just keep a strong, powerful batting and bowling lineup as possible. And then finally, I'm going to say, Khalid, Dexter is Khalid, how confident are you for tomorrow's game? On a scale of 1 to 10, given my little bit of concerns over the bowling, just based on the last series, even though Eric Simons has said that everybody's 100% fit and all good, I still have a little bit of a concern. So my confidence level at the moment is 7. It might turn up after the first innings. It might turn up closer to the game time and after they've done the pitch report, etc. And I've seen the lineup. But currently, I'm sitting on a 7. I'm pretty confident. But I've been burnt too many times by this Proteas side, so I don't want to go too confident into the game and then get heavily disappointed. Frosty says, basically, it's Sri Lanka's bowling versus SA's batting. Those are the strengths of the teams. That's because if you and the team you have beaten in your group qualify, you take these 2 points over. the myth that again batters are scared of pace are long gone. In fact, batters these days prefer pace, knowing they say, well, we'll be pace smashers again, and that will cost us. Yeah, that is a concern. But guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I'm excited for this game. I hope you guys are too. Don't forget to smash the like button, comment, and share, and subscribe, and do all of those things for me, please. We're getting closer to our next milestone of 5,000 subscribers, so please help us get there extremely quickly. We're not very far off, so please help us get there, so that we can do those things, do the things, and continuously grow this channel. For the entire World Cup. I'm hoping that we reach some good milestones during this World Cup. Don't forget to also tune in after the game for our review show. We will go live directly after the day's play. So I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your evening, everybody. And I'll see you tomorrow after the game. Peace out.